Please enjoy the first few minutes of my first exclusive Last Supper bonus episode about Halloween candy tamperings and the 1858 Bradford sweets poisoning. Enjoy. Hello, I'm COLSON Davis, and you're obviously here because you like my podcast, The Last Supper. So thank you for joining my Patreon. I'm hoping to give you a really great bonus episode here. So we are going to be talking about the Halloween candy panic and also about the 1858 Bradford sweets poisoning. There are so many crazy cases in here, so let's just have some fun and dive right in. Now, the lore of the Halloween candy panic. What is it? Well, this is the fear that when children go out trick-or-treating, that some ill-intentioned stranger that's out to hurt kids will put things like needles, razor blades, or even poison in the candy. Now, this is such a strong urban legend because it plays on some very strong fears in humans. One is the fear of potential dangers to our children, which runs deep in our biology. It's a scary world out there, and we try to keep our children safe at all costs. And this legend also plays on our fears of our food supply being contaminated. And if you know anything about American food, it honestly is. There's so many preservatives and chemicals being pumped into us through our food supply that it can definitely scare some people. It scares me and the future of my family and our health. Now, there are 0 cases of anyone dying from a stranger giving out Halloween candy. And what happens in the media, like they love to do, is twist and bend stories to get views, get papers sold, and get people talking. The urban legend really started popping off after the 1974 death of Timothy O'Brien. Now, if you watched my regular show, you know the entire story, but I'll break it down really quick if you didn't. So in 1974, Ronald Clark O'Brien was a disgruntled father of 2 kids, and he could never hold down a job. He was in extremely large amounts of debt. So on Halloween night, 1974, Ronald poisoned and handed out 5 21-inch pixie sticks and pretended that he got them from some mysterious hairy arm from a dark, unlit house. Later that night, his son ate the pixie stick and died from cyanide poisoning. Ronald's story fell apart and he was charged with the murder of his son and attempted murder of 4 others. He was executed by lethal injection in 1984. Ronald Clark O'Brien was dubbed the Candyman, and the media went crazy, blaming some unidentified boogeyman as the killer. This obviously wasn't the case though, and the man Ronald blamed it on was found to have a solid alibi, but the truth didn't sell papers, and some believe that the case of Ronald Clark O'Brien was the spark that ignited the entire Halloween candy craze. However, before the candy craze really blew up in the 1970s, there was also doubts of food contamination starting in the Industrial Revolution, when food started to move out of the home's production and become processed elsewhere, like factories, using unknown ingredients and machines. After children were eating candy, they were getting sick, and this again plays on those fears. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, the U.S. Bureau of Chemistry ran tests to help ease the fear of food contamination. They found that there was no evidence to suggest that there was anything in the candies that were harmful to children. However, these tests revealed the use of corn syrup in these candies. The syrup was being melted and heated in copper pots, and they found very small trace amounts of copper in the candies. They also found that coal tar dyes were being used for coloring, but no evidence of poisons, waste, or other harmful materials. The Bureau then chalked it up to the children overeating the candies or other common issues for the time, like poor hygiene and improper cooking or storage of meats and other perishables. Now, let's go back before this, when candies were still handmade and mixed. We're talking about now the 1858 Bradford sweets poisoning. And if you'd like to listen to the full bonus episode, you can do that at patreon.com/thelastSupperPodcast. Help support the show and keep it growing. I'll see you inside Patreon. And remember to enjoy every meal, because you never know when it'll be your last.